Hello and welcome to all my first year and second year students at CSPE. I thought this might be helpful for you. I'm experimenting with it at the moment, so wish me luck. But first years and second years, we were working off democracy in our last classes, and we were picking political parties in your groups of 4 and different leadership roles within that. And you were then presenting your political party and giving us reasons why we should vote for you. So democracy is the strand that we were last on, strand 3. And it talks about countries such as a lot of them in the Western world who have the vote. So in other words, they're able to vote in for the political leaders that they want to lead them. Okay, so that's democracy. In other places like North Korea, for example, you have a dictator. In other words, his dad would have been the dictator before him, and he became leader only because his dad was leader previous to him. Whereas in democracy, we get to vote in whoever we like to rule us, which is great for the Western world and the civilized world. Most countries around the world now have democracies. It wasn't always the case, but more and more they're obviously becoming more popular because people like the chance to choose. Okay, so that's just a little intro for you. Going on to the first slide, we have the legal system in Ireland. So how do the laws and the courts work within Ireland? Depending on the country, you might have different ways that that particular country goes about its laws. Some are similar, some are very different. In Ireland, we have 2 types of law, so that's very important to understand. You see down here in the blue, you've got civil cases, and that's for business and relationship type of situations that go wrong. And then criminal cases are more for theft, murders, criminality. Okay, so when you've got minor problems, it goes to smaller courts. That's the small claims court there, and that's if you've, say, a problem with some consumer item. You might have bought something you bought in the shop, and you have a problem and it's valued to less than €2,000. Wouldn't even have to be in the shop, could be online, and you can make a claim to the small claims court to get your money back. Yeah, there's the children's court, specific to children. There's the district court, and again, each of these have more power the higher they go up. The civil court you have. Then you have the High Court. You have the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. Now you have a special criminal court, which is an additional court there to investigate, say, acts of terrorism. So you need a special court to be able to run that. They don't want the type of court where you'd have a jury that might get intimidated. So they decided that there was a need, the government decided there was a need for a special criminal court. They've got the Central Criminal Court, again, for serious crimes of criminality. And again, you can appeal, and then it can go all the way to the Supreme Court, which is one of the highest courts in the land. Down here, you can see civil law and criminal law, and that's very important for you to understand the difference between criminal law, crimes against humanity, civil law. We're talking about relationship type of laws, consumer type laws, labor laws. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Now the legal system, who's who in the courts. So it's good to run through these, and again, use your book in conjunction with the slides if you want to read back or further detail on points they're making. But do you know each person, what they do in the court? So you've got a judge, a barrister, a solicitor, prosecutor, a defendant. Then you've got the clerk of the court. You've got a recorder, tip staff, judges, ushers. You've guardas, witnesses, and the public. And there's an example of an Irish courtroom. Okay, so the likes of the judge would usually sit up there in the middle. The barristers are usually the people with the wigs, and there'll be one side that'll be prosecuting, in other words, saying that such and such person did something wrong. And then you might have the opposite side, and they'll be the defendants, and they'll be defending a person and saying, no, they didn't do that, and here's the evidence why. And then you've people within the court here who do a lot of jobs like recording, writing stuff down, getting stuff back and forth to the people who need them. Then you have you might have a Garda in the court to help describe what the problem was, etc. You might have witnesses called in, so someone who saw what happened to be able to verify the truth. And then you have the general public who are allowed in the case of a jury. So when you have a jury, you've got people from the public in, and a jury is often different people from different backgrounds, etc. Can be. So you could argue maybe it's too much to one type of person, but the public are allowed in for certain sessions. Okay, so moving on. The legal system and An Garda Síochána. So the Garda Síochána, you need to know that that's the Irish police force. They don't carry weapons unless they have a specific need, and then you have a special group of Gardaí, and you have another special group of Gardaí called the Criminal Assets Bureau, so they're able to go in and take assets off big, say, drug dealers, etc., who are hoarding cash and what have you. Also, you have, the Garda Síochána, it also means the guardians of peace, so their job is to keep the peace. I know without the Gardaí, we would have problems. They're there to help us, they're there to advise us, they're there to keep us safe, and they're there to keep a bit of law and order in the country. Okay, so something else I want to say on that. I'll come back to it. If I think of something else on that, I'll come back to it. All right, next slide. So the legal system, the prison system. So there's an example of one prison in Ireland, the Arbor Hill Prison. The system has 14 different types of institutions, right? That makes up the Irish prison system. There's 14 different places. Of the 14 institutions, 11 are closed prisons, 2 are open prisons, 1 is a semi-open prison. So what that means is some are like for more dangerous criminals, more totally closed off. There's more freedoms allowed, obviously, in the semi-open and open prisons. Okay, and then you've got the central mental hospital houses. They house people who were found to have been insane at the time they committed serious crimes. They've been a different type of institution or place. And then there are prisons, especially for young offenders. You'd know one in our own local area up in Balrudry. So that houses prisoners for young prisoners as well. Okay, so moving on. The legal system, young people, laws for young people. So you have different laws depending on what age you are. Age does make a difference. At the age of 18, you'll know some of the common ones. You know, you can drive, etc., at certain ages. So we'll go through a few of them here. So at 18, you're no longer considered a child. You can vote in elections. At the moment, you can't vote. So you can stand for election and actually be a politician yourself. You can sit on a jury when you're 18. You can claim benefits from the government. You can get married. You can drive. You can donate blood. You can donate organs on an organ card. You can bet and buy lottery tickets. But the age of what most of you are at the moment, we're talking about 14, 15, 12, 14, 15, some 16, maybe not so much, more third year. So let's look at 12 years of age. So you can be held in a Garda station. You can drive a boat with a 5 horsepower engine. So a really slow boat, in other words. You can change your name, which obviously all of these are with parents' consent because you're too young sometimes to make decisions on your own, and you take advice from your parents about all of these different issues. So you can change your name with your parents' consent. Again, that's the same as the same, parents' consent. You can be charged with a crime in the same way as an adult at the age of 14. So at 15, you can legally be employed part-time during school term. That's very minimal hours that you're allowed to do, and it's certain circumstances, etc. And then 16, so that's where you'll be next year, some of you. So you can leave school, get married with your parents' permission, join a trade union, like for example, ASTI, the teachers union, whatever union you're going to be working for as part of member of. And a political party. You work for 8 hours a day, own a dog, and you can get a license for a motorbike, obviously with a really small CC, or a tractor, if with permission with your parents, and you have a farm, etc., etc. Yeah, okay, so there's some laws for young people that are important. You can read the others yourself. So the legal system, labour laws. So that's labour means employees, which means people who work, your labour force. So what are your rights and what are you allowed to do and not allowed to do when it comes to labour law? Some employers and their employees are not aware of the law that apply to people who are under 18 years of age. Now, it's a bit small for seeing this document, so I advise going to your book under this section called Legal System Labour, and read about the age limits and the maximum hours that you're allowed to work when you're a particular age, and what you're allowed and not allowed to do when it comes to early morning and night work, and how many breaks you're supposed to have. Your employer has to give you those breaks at a particular age that you're at, and you can see other information down at the bottom. Okay, moving on. Again, if you have any questions after you've read the book section on this, make sure you give me an email. You'll have my email up on Schoology. So that's no problem. You can ask me whatever you need to. Okay, so moving on. The legal system and social change. So bringing about social change, which means how do you make Ireland better? How do you make our quality of life better for everyone? Yeah, all our citizens. So laws have been passed to help people's social welfare and their healthcare needs. Study laws is below, work with a classmate, explain how each of these laws change Irish society. So the old age pension, that gives people when they reach 65, they're talking about increasing it to 70 at the moment, but people who get finish work, they've done a lot of work up to the age of 65, people felt that they're entitled to a pension. In other words, they get money from the government, so they don't have to continue working after that age. And that's been a great law brought in for Ireland, for our Irish people. And then social welfare for the employed. So if someone doesn't have a job, there was a law created to allow those law back in 1911 to allow those people to have money to be able to survive. Yeah, and some people argue it's not enough. A medical card for those in need under the Health Act 1953. So you get a medical card so that you get expenses and some free bits within medicine, within the health sector. They're talking about at the moment giving free healthcare for children under 8. So that'll be another good law. The Minimum Wage Act means they brought that in 2000, and that's just to give people a minimum per hour rate of money so that they can survive. And then another good law, in my opinion, was the smoking ban brought in 2004. Because as we know, third-hand smoke, in other words, the smoke at the end of a cigarette, can be 3 times as bad as smoking it yourself. So you're actually damaging other people's health when you smoke, never mind slowing down yourself, your brain, and your physical and mental well-being, the whole lot. So anyway, free GP care for children under 6 under the Health Act. Now that's been updated recently. You could bring that right up to now, and they're planning to give free GP care for under 8 years of age, and more free time for parents when they have their children, that the father and the mother are allowed extra time off. So they're new good laws that have been brought into Ireland recently. Okay, so that's that. We'll stop there, and I'll move on to another presentation to help your understanding as well. So to finish up, I put together a few questions, the important questions that you need to understand from this part of the Strand. So question number 1 there, what are the 2 types of law in Ireland? Type out what each person in a court does. So for example, what does a barrister do, etc. What is our police force called, and what does it stand for? Let's try and remember what that one was. Explain your own short summary from your head what the Irish prison system is all about. Name 3 important laws that young people should be aware of. Explain anything you know about the labour laws, and what do you know about consumer laws. Are laws always negative things? Give 2 examples of positive laws in ERA in Ireland. There's a spelling mistake there, if should be of. What's the difference between civil and criminal law? Okay, so you know the way you do your presentations in your groups of 4 using Google slideshows? You can continue doing that. share amongst your usual group of 4, and summarize strand 3 law into your own words after me here teaching it to you. And yeah, what I wanted at the start of your presentations is an answer to all these questions. So type in the answers, yeah, into your presentations. And then what can happen then is just your manager send me on the shared slideshow with the contributions of each student on it, with your name at the bottom right of the slides that you participated in. So in other words, so I can give you marks for the effort you're making. I need to be able to see what the group did versus what the individual did. All right, if you have any questions with that, again, you can contact me through Schoology or through my email. Okay, thank you.